So a user asked last night if someone had made any kind of user videos for the new sermon document editor in Logos 7, and to my knowledge, the only one out there is the overview video that's provided by the Logos Pro team. So I told him I would see what I could do this morning. So here's my attempt at doing that. Uh, so you've finished studying for your sermon and you're now ready to put your outline together. You click on the Documents menu, open a new sermon document, and this is what you will see. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to give our sermon a title. Let's say I'm preaching on the Great Commission. So I'll call it the Great Commission. And then I want to fill in the author name. If you want to do that, the default is going to be your Logos username. Uh, you can select audience type if you want to do that. You don't have to select these. In fact, you can uh, cancel out the defaults and it would just be blank and it won't show up at all. Let's say this is part of a sermon series. I'm going to call it the Commands of the Church, or Commands to the Church. Key topics. If you want to enter a key topic, you can. As you enter the topic, if it's something that Logos recognizes, then you can select it. If not, then you can just type in whatever it is you want to type. You want to enter your passage. In this case, it'll be Matthew 28, 19, and 20. And again, Logos will give you the opportunity to select that. If you want to put some sort of sermon description, you can, or if you want to put some other notes, you can do that as well. I like to start my sermons with the actual scripture passage that I'm preaching from. And so in order to do that, I'm going to go to take it off of heading by clicking on the default is selected heading 1, so I'm going to go up here to heading 1. I'm going to click that off. Now it's just going to be regular text, and I'm going to enter Matthew 28, 19 through 20, and I'm just going to hit return. And Logos will automatically insert my passage based on my preferred Bible, and it will also create slides to display that passage on a screen if I want to do that. Normally, I start my sermons with an introduction. So in this case, I'm going to have my introduction. Then I'm going to make my points. Now, what I did in the interest of time for this video is I went ahead and created this text in another document, and I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste it. You can enter it directly in here if you want to do that, but in this case, I just thought I would save some time by copying and pasting what I would do. So I've got my introduction, and of course it would certainly be longer than 2 sentences. And then I've got my first point, I've got my second point, and then I've got my third point. And then I've got my conclusion. So what I want to do is I want to build my outline. So in this case, what I like to have is heading 1 for my introduction, and then heading 1 for each point, and then heading 1 for my conclusion. And as you can see, as I'm selecting these headings, it's automatically creating these slides for these. Now, one neat thing about this feature is, let's say I don't like that black background with the white text. I can click on that slide, select Edit, and it'll take you to the Media tool, and then select Find Media. And that'll give you all kinds of different themes and so on that you can select from. In this case, let's say I like this one for my introduction, and I'm going to update my sermon. But I want another style for my slides that show the points that I'm going to have for my sermon. So I go back into the editor screen, the Media tool, and once again select Find Media. And for my points, I want this slide. So now I'm going to select Update Sermon again, and it is automatically going to update that slide. And I can continue to do that. Now, if you wanted to have one slide theme all the way through, when you start your sermon, if you edit the title slide and you select a different theme, then that will be the theme that Logos defaults to throughout the sermon. And then if you want to change individual themes, you can. But back to my outline, I'm starting to create my outline here. Obviously, like I said, my introduction is going to be significantly longer. I normally leave that as just standard text. But now I want my outline to reflect some of the subpoints associated with my larger points. So there are several things I could do here. One, I could just select a different heading if I wanted to do that. Or I could select a different heading and indent it if I wanted to do that. Or, and what I prefer to do, is I can use a numbered list. Now in this case, it comes in at number 1, and then if I select numbered list again, it's going to come in at number 2. Select again, and it's number 3, and then number 4, and so on. Now let's say I want to add something to this particular subpoint. I can hit return and then use the tab key or the indentation key, and it'll do the same thing, and it'll switch to A. And then let's say I want to add something to that. Once again, I can use the tab key or the indent key, and it'll continue to number just like a standard alphanumeric number list. I'm going to do the same thing in the rest of my points. Again, I want to select numbers, and in this case I'm going to indent, and you can select all of them at once just like I did. It'll automatically remember the numbers. Now one neat thing, let's say I want to add a slide to a text point, but I don't want to change my outline style. I don't want to select. Let's say I want there are different denominational traditions, and let's say I just want that on a slide for some reason. I can click on that point and go up here and hit Add Slides from selected text, and that will automatically create a slide that says there are different denominational traditions. Now, let's say I just wanted a slide that had part of that point on it, and I just wanted the word denominational for some reason. I'm not sure why I would want that, but let's say I did. I can just select denominational, and it will add a slide with simply the word denominational. Well, I left off the L, but that's okay. But I don't want that. So I'm going to continue to number my points here. And again, like I said, you can do it. You can do a block selection. It works fine. In this case, I'm going to do a block selection, and then I'm going to change this, and I'm going to go ahead and leave that the way it is. And then in my conclusion, I'm going to type some additional text, whatever it is that I want to say in my conclusion. Now, there are a couple other things that I want to point out. First, if you are going to create handouts, you'll see here that when I click on that first heading, handout, question, and heading 1 are all selected. Well, I don't want that as a question because it's not really a question, but I do want it in my handout. Here, nothing is selected because it's just standard text. But I also want going in my handout, and I don't want that as a question, but I want baptizing in my handout. I forgot to take that off as a question and put it on handout. And I want baptizing in my handout. And I want teaching in my handout. But I don't want that as a question. And I want conclusion in my handout, but I don't want that as a question. Now, if you wanted to view what your handout would look like, you can select handout, and it's just going to give you, this information will always be at the top, but it just gives those points that I selected as a handout. Now, let's say I wanted to ask the audience a question after my introduction. I want to ask a question. I can label that as a question. Oops, excuse me, I made a mistake there. I can label that as a question, and you can see that it highlights. And now, when I go to the question, there's my question right there. So there are a variety of things you could do. I would suggest just kind of playing with it and thinking about things that you might be able to create and be creative. Text, of course, just shows the text and doesn't show the slides, and then this shows all of the slides. If you decide that you don't want to have all these slides, you can delete any or all of them, with the exception of the title slide. Now, there's one more thing that I want to point out. Let's say you have a point that you really want to stress, or maybe you want everyone to say. You can select that particular point and click prompt, and it is going to change it to red text. And you could add have everyone say this. Excuse my typing. I'm not very good this morning. And now when you look at your sermon document, you're going to see it's going to jump out at you if you wanted to bold that. You can do it that way, and so on. So that's in a nutshell what I use. There are a few other features that I haven't really used yet, and don't really anticipate that I will use, but I'm sure that they're great features for some people to have. But I hope this was helpful.